You know what time it is.
This man was a bona fide scrub.
On today's episode, Sean Marks says he's unsure if he can commit to Kyrie Irving and Ben Simmons long term. The Warriors and Steph Curry reached the NBA Finals for a sixth time, and they come off one of the most dull and boring conference finals in recent years. Plus, the All-NBA teams are announced, and the Raiders get ready to host Colin Kapernick for a workout. With Noah Levine, I'm Swankie. Welcome back to the Bona Fide Scrubs, episode 2. The problems never end over here with recording this show. Episode 1 had lag and connection problems. Now we have an echo we have to deal with, but we keep correcting them, keep fixing them to try and bring you more higher quality episodes of the show. Noah, you were at the Rangers game on Tuesday. How was that?
That was very exciting because they played their best game of the playoffs. Maybe it's the playoffs, but they played 4-1, dominated the Hurricanes. I sat in section 210. They were pretty expensive tickets, Will, and so I saw them play very well. They tie up the series. I know they just lost game 5 last night. They played awful. They had like 15 shots in the entire game. They're going to have to win game 6, which is tomorrow on Saturday. So hopefully they could force a game 7. I read a stat somewhere that Carolina is 9-0 all-time in playoff series when they're up 3-2, so they've never blown a 3-2 lead. Hopefully the Rangers can change that. But another exciting thing, along with the Rangers winning, was I saw Sauce Gardner, the new Jets cornerback, the 4th overall pick, in the same parking garage as me, and so I saw him.
That's cool, man.
So I saw him. He had his giant Sauce chain on. He's wearing a Rangers jersey. He had a nice hat on. I saw him on the big screen like an hour before, because they always show like the Celebro, all the like who's at the game in MSG. I was like, wow, Sauce Gardner's here. It's like I've never seen him at a hockey game. And then I see him in the parking garage like an hour later, and I went up to him and we took a selfie together. I might put it on the screen, just an informal picture. I went up to him. I was like, I'm a big fan, and can I get a picture with you? And he was like, sure, man, let's get it. And then I took that historic selfie, and I said he's going to go off this year, and he said thanks. And then he got into his car, and then he drove to the game alone, so he got in his car and then drove away. And I was shocked, like nobody went up to him, because he was like 15 feet away from me in this parking garage. I don't know if people cared, or like Ranger fans don't know who Sauce Gardner is, maybe because he's a rookie. Maybe if it was a more prominent Jets player, even though he's going to be prominent this year, because I think he's going to be maybe the best player in this draft class. But just surprising, like nobody really cared about him, just standing there with a giant Sauce chain except for me.
You said you were a big fan. Really?
Yes. Yeah, I kind of. Well, I had to be nice. I was a little nervous. I just wanted to try to get a picture and get out of there. Just took a selfie, and now it's pretty funny. If he ends up becoming an all-pro player and one of the best players in the league, that'd be pretty funny. Just have a selfie with him on my phone.
Yeah, you should have told him that he's welcome to come on the show anytime. We could have interviewed him before the season.
Yeah, that would have been I was not thinking that at all. I was just trying to get a little conversation going and then get a picture. But it's pretty cool though. It's funny. Last time I was at a Ranger game, which was in March, they beat the Ducks. I saw Don LaGreca in the same parking garage, which is like a block away from MSG. That's where me and my dad park. And so I guess this parking garage is the gold mine for pretty famous people. And yeah, I didn't go up to Don. He was wearing a mask and he looked like he was occupied talking to some people. But Sauce was just sitting there alone talking to some bald guy. I don't know if it was his agent or someone he knew, but he didn't even drive off with that guy. He just drove off alone. So I don't know where that other guy went, but so I think it was the right time to approach him, and I executed it perfectly, I think.
Yeah, congratulations, meeting a future Jet. We'll see how good he is during the season.
Yeah.
Moving on to another New York team, the Brooklyn Nets. They have a lot of decisions to make in this offseason. They completely fell apart towards the end of the year, getting swept in the first round by the Boston Celtics. And now we have some new comments from their general manager, Sean Marks. And it has been reported by Kristen Winfield of the New York Daily News that the Nets front office might not be ready to commit to Kyrie Irving long term. And the reason for that, Noah, is they cite inconsistent availability, which, yeah, you didn't really need to say that for me to figure that out. But
Yeah.
that's just a rumor. But we do have some comments from Sean Marks, who gave a little bit more of a concrete answer. He said, quote, "We've been looking for guys that want to come here and be a part of something bigger than themselves. Play selfless, play team basketball, and be available."
They don't do any of those things.
That goes for Kyrie and everybody here. So taking a little bit of a shot, definitely at Kyrie, definitely at Ben Simmons. Play team basketball, be available. I mean, that's definitely goes to both of them. But what do you think they should do here, Noah? Do you think with Kyrie and all of his talent, do you think you can trust him, and would you sign him to a long-term contract?
Well, if I were the Nets, I would sign him long-term just so they blow up and become even worse, and they're just stuck with Kyrie's inavailability. As a Knicks fan, that would make me happy if they re-signed them, and then we see more clown show things happen year to year with this team. But no, realistically, on my basketball team, I would not ever sign this guy long-term. What does he do for like $40 million a year? Like, what does he do? Like a 4-year, like a 180 deal? I don't know. Whatever his contract is gonna be. He's not available every season, pretty much. He's always hurt. We saw him sit out a lot of games this year. He doesn't show up to the media. He got fined a lot of money for that. This dude is a clown. He's a really talented basketball player, but he's a weirdo off the court. And I don't know why Kevin Durant would ever pick this guy to be a sidekick. That was his first mistake, leaving Steph Curry, leaving the Warriors foundation, because the Warriors just made the NBA Finals without him. I mean, they never needed KD. They won with KD, and they will win after KD. So if I were the Nets, I mean, they have no fans anyways. They're always going to be the Clippers of New York. They're never really going to have a fan base. And Kyrie Irving, they might as well just sign him long-term, just to ensure they have somewhat of a decent basketball team, just so they could probably sell tickets and maybe make the playoffs. But if he's unavailable and only shows up for the playoffs, they're not really going to win a championship if there's no chemistry there.
If Sean Marks is serious about signing people that want to play for something bigger than themselves and be available, you can't sign Kyrie Irving. You just can't. I mean, if he's actually going to be serious about that idea and build a team that has chemistry and wants to play with one another, you can't have players like Kyrie on your team. You can't have players like Ben Simmons on your team. And Kyrie, it's a little bit easier of a situation for them because they can choose whether to bring him back or he can opt in, technically, right? So he can opt into another deal.
Yeah.
So they're handicapped with him, I think, for one more year. But after that, it's up to them whether or not he wants to sign an extension. So if Sean Marks is serious about those ideas, you can't sign him to that extension. I probably wouldn't even bring him back year by year, just because clearly there's something going on there with the chemistry of this team where we think that they can just show up for the postseason and be healthy and be ready, and their talent can win them a championship. But that has not been the case the past 2 years. They're not a very healthy team. KD seems to go down with injuries very frequently now. He missed plenty of games last year, plenty of games the year before, and Kyrie has just not been available for so many variety of reasons. So when those are your top two players, you can't just expect them to come back for the playoffs and expect everything to go perfectly, and it clearly hasn't. So
I'm having trouble hearing you. Sorry, could you say that again?
Oh, your Siri went off. Nice job.
I thought that was what is going on?
I don't know, but yeah, I mean, what team would really want Kyrie Irving on their basketball team? I guess like a team like the Magic or a team with inferior talent. But me and you knew this Nets team wasn't going to win a championship. Honestly, I don't think they'll ever win with Kevin Durant or Kyrie on their team. Like, it's over. Like, their window, I think it honestly closed. Like, they're not getting younger. And the Nets have a terrible roster. And look at these young rising teams like the Celtics. We see them in the East Finals. The Bucks are not going anywhere without Giannis. You would think Philly could be better next season if maybe Harden plays better or they just move Harden for something else. But I think it would be pretty funny. What if the Sixers let James Harden go, but then sign Kyrie Irving in to bring him in to play with Embiid? That'd be hilarious. Because the Nets and Sixers like doing deals clearly. So I think that'd be kind of a funny storyline. But back to Kyrie Irving for a second. This dude cannot play with expectations well. We've seen it signs with the Celtics. He's hurt half the time, and he comes back and he has a terrible playoff series, and they get eliminated. And then he leaves for Brooklyn, and with expectations, championship expectations, he decides to sit out most of the season and just come back. He just plays when he feels like. Honestly, he just thinks he could do whatever he wants. So this dude he's just terrible under expectations, and the Cavs had no expectations with him, and he looked like a star before LeBron showed up. So I think it's for Kyrie's best interest to get us $45 million a year and play for like the Magic or something. So he just, I'll play on Wednesday. I won't play on Fridays, just so he could do whatever he wants and then tweet dumb things on social media all day. I think that's what he really wants. He's always like, oh, it's bigger than basketball. All right, well, if you don't care about basketball, winning championships, because that's what your buddy Kevin Durant's trying to do, maybe you should go to a team where you could just take off from work every other day and do whatever you want, honestly. So he's just crumbled under expectations. He's not a superstar. He's just not a guy I would ever trust on my basketball team. So he's lucky LeBron.
That
yeah,
people that only work for half the year are not available when they need to be. Like how long is the NBA season? It's like October
7 months,
through
6 months
through if you don't make the playoffs through March, right? So
April, yeah.
It's really not that long
like
of a
6
time
months.
to be committed to your team. And if Kyrie says it's bigger than basketball, well then, I mean,
Retire.
Kevin Durant and these other people in the locker room trust you. They need to be able to count on you. So why don't you just do it for them? Do it for your teammates and do it for your friends. I mean, that seems like something that a good person would do, right? And then you have the whole off season to do whatever you want. You don't need to be available during the months of summer. I mean, you need to work out. You need to, stay in shape and do the things that professional athletes have to do in the off season to stay ready. But during the year, it's not that hard to be committed and to stay ready for 7 months of a calendar year and to do your job, really. I mean, that should be your priority, because the things that Kyrie Irving wants to prop up and wants to talk about and have discussions about, he needs basketball to be able to do those things. He needs basketball to get paid the salary that he gets paid and to have the platform that he gets because of his talent, right? So he kind of he doesn't owe the NBA, but in a way he kind of does, because
he owns the Nets.
It's given him all the things that he's been able to do outside of basketball. It's given him the opportunity to have different charity events and fund those things. And it's given him the opportunity to speak on a platform that people want to listen to. I mean, we know it's hard without a big following or anything to have a platform people want to listen to. So he's been given that just as a sort of a side effect of what he's so talented at. So I think his priorities have definitely been very strange over the past few years, and it's bizarre for a player that can come across as articulate and can formulate a point decently. I just feel like it's just been strange for his priorities. I think he's not a stupid person, but
I think he is a stupid person.
Okay, I mean, that's based on some of his comments, I guess you can claim that. But I don't know. I just think if he directed his energy towards the right things, he definitely does not need to be this hated figure. I mean, when he was in Cleveland with LeBron, and before then, he was not this type of person, and I think he was respected more for it.
I think
so ultimately, I mean, if you want your words to carry weight, you need to be respected in the NBA and outside of it. I think he's losing that credibility, not only on the court but off the court.
Yeah, I think LeBron had Kyrie on a leash when he was in Cleveland, and that's why he wanted to leave. I mean, LeBron, we didn't hear any of these dumb stories about Kyrie when he was on the Cavs, because it's LeBron. LeBron cares about winning. He cares about so much about his legacy and stuff like that. So he obviously swept a lot of things about Kyrie under the rug. And then once Kyrie's free, he just goes on a rampage, I guess. This is who he really is. Just like Tom Brady kept AB in check for most of the season until AB went haywire, as we saw in that game against the Jets. But great players are able to contain crazy players, I guess. We saw this. But yeah, I think Kyrie Irving is a great basketball player, but he's stupid otherwise. He's stupid off the court. And I think Kevin Durant's also one of the dumbest basketball players out there, just because he signed up for this. They both think I don't even care that they didn't go to my Knicks anymore, but they went to the Nets, and they just blew up the entire team, and the organization now hates them. Like, they hired their friend coach, who is Steve Nash. We saw Crooklyn crash there, and they traded for James Harden, and they're like, okay, well, Harden wants out. We're gonna have to blow up the team again. We're gonna get Ben Simmons, who just won Best Actor. So since they came, I don't know why Kevin Durant would ever leave the Warriors. I guess he wanted to make his own name for his own legacy. But come on, dude, you shouldn't have chosen the Nets. I mean, they had a good foundation, but you chose the wrong partner, and that is why Kevin Durant's also dumb in this situation. He chose the wrong guy. He saw Kyrie play bad in Boston under expectations, and I don't know why Kyrie wanted to leave LeBron, because they could have won more championships. So both of them are just in awkward positions now, and it's not only a shame, because I'm glad the Nets are failing, but it's kind of unfortunate if you're a Nets fan.
Yeah, I'm glad about it too. But that's the other aspect of it, is we have to think about how Kevin Durant will react to this. I mean, if the Nets choose to not sign Kyrie long term, what does KD do? Because they clearly both went there together, and now if Kyrie's gone, you're just leaving Kevin Durant alone with a roster that we know is really not that good, and they have no assets for the future to make it better. So what does Kevin Durant do? Does he demand to leave? I mean, that's certainly not a foreign thing that we see from stars now, that they just hate their roster and they want out, pulling the James Harden. But I don't know. I feel like KD, for his legacy,
needs to leave.
I mean, this net situation is really bad for Kevin Durant. I think it's probably worse for him than anyone, because he went there to really have his own franchise. I mean, he had it with OKC, and he gave that up. And then he went to another expansion team, another team that has no history, and tried to make that team great. And he basically has been a failure at this point. So what do you think KD should do, Noah? Do you think he will end up staying on the Nets if Kyrie is gone, or does he have to go seek out a different team to play for?
I mean, I think anything's possible. I think he'll go out and seek a new team, because he wasn't happy playing with Westbrook in OKC, and we saw how that ended. And he went to the Warriors. He did not care about joining a 73-9 team, and tainting his legacy, even though he won 2 Finals MVPs. I don't think Kevin Durant cares what Kyrie does. I think he'll just try to leave and join another super team, or join some basketball team that's good. I don't know where he could go, because every team is in the cap hell. It's not like he could go to the Lakers, because they have like AD and LeBron, and they're trying to move Westbrook. So I don't think KD would fit there. Maybe like the Heat could go Durant or something. I don't know. Maybe he could join the Knicks, the other team in New York, what he should have done originally. But I don't even think our team's good enough to win a championship by just adding Kevin Durant. So I don't know where he could really go. If he wanted his own franchise, he might have to go to a team even worse than the Nets. Like, I don't know. Would he have to join like the Cavaliers or something? They're not paying anyone money. Or would he have to join like the Pelicans with Zion? Like, I don't know where he would play. But I think he's signed an extension with the Nets, right? So he's just trapped there for now. I mean,
well,
I don't
he's
know.
gonna have to demand a trade.
Yeah, well, he's gonna have to trade, but I don't know how that would work, and what his value is at this point. I mean, he's a really good player, but would a crappy team just give up 6 players for him and have no picks again? Like, would they just have Kevin Durant role players? Like, that's not gonna win a championship, because that's what the Nets have. They have Kevin Durant role players that are bad. So I don't really know where he could go. Maybe Philly, actually, if they just kill Harden and KD and Embiid. I mean, that team would be good enough to come out of the East, I think, with Tobias and Danny Green and Maxey. That would actually be a fun team for him to go to, but I think he's just going to stay put in Brooklyn. He's stayed in OKC for almost a decade. I think he's going to stay and suck it up and try to win something there.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have to do it with the 2 most frustrating
Things
co-stars in the NBA. We didn't even talk about Ben Simmons. I mean, he still has not played a game for the Nets. And honestly, again, if Sean Marks is true to these ideas, he might never play a single game for them. They end up trading James Harden, all those draft picks they gave up for him, and their 2 best players before this new era with Jared Allen and LeVert. They end up getting rid of all of that for Ben Simmons, who might not even give them a single game. I mean, is it the worst trade in NBA history? It might be.
The Rockets are going to be a dynasty in like 4 years, because they have all the Nets picks. Like, once Kevin Durant's on his last limbs at age 37, The Nets are going to win 25 games, and the Rockets are going to get those picks again. Just doing all these trades, the Nets just put themselves back in the KG Pierce trade. They just did it again, honestly, but they got better players, but they still didn't make it out of the second round. So it's just as much of a failure because they even had better players, obviously. And the Rockets are just going to have a lot of picks, and they have Jalen Green. They have the third pick this year. Maybe Bonchero will end up being a Rocket or something. We'll see. The Rockets are going to revive their franchise over the next 5 years, and the Nets are going to get dumpster fire like they've been for a whole decade.
Yeah, I mean, it worked for Boston.
Sean
right?
Marks did the same thing again. Or
they
no,
ended up with the Nets
GM.
pick, and they took Tatum. And now they're about to make the finals, probably.
And the Celtics they got Brown and Tatum literally from the Celtics, or the Nets picks, so clearly you get great players.
Yeah, the Nets disaster, we'll see how it plays out. More NBA news was the All-NBA teams came out in these past few days. I'll read them here and then we can react to them. The third team is the guards Chris Paul, Trae Young, forwards LeBron, Siakam, and then Towns was the center. The second team, Steph Curry and Morant are the backcourt. Then DeRozan, Durant, and Embiid up front. And then the first team, the guards are Luka and Devin Booker, Giannis, Tatum, and Jokic. So pretty interesting. I mean, LeBron, you have him on the third team. He becomes the all-time leader in all NBA teams. I think this was his 19th this year. So
I think it was 18th or 17th, but yeah.
Yeah, so he sets the record. I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I feel like it's definitely because of his injuries that he made third team, but I probably would have had him higher. This was one of the best statistical years of his career.
You would have had him higher?
Yeah. In terms
I
of just pure
disagree.
stats.
I don't
winning,
care about that.
I don't care about winning at all on the
No.
on the NBA teams.
No, that's what? Then why don't you have I don't know. Then why shouldn't Trae Young be on the first team or something? Because he had a better season than Devin Booker.
Because he's not
probably.
better than Luka.
But he's better than Devin Booker. He averaged like 30 and 10.
I mean, he's
Everyone
not
forgets
better
about
than
that.
Devin Booker.
Yes, he is. He had a better season than Devin Booker. It's just the Suns won 64 games. I think winning matters on the All-NBA teams. That's an interesting take. I think LeBron's fine on the third team. Yeah, it was a great statistical season, like you said. But his team was terrible. His team was garbage this year, and they didn't even make the play. And the New Orleans Pelicans, without Zion, made it over them. That's disgraceful. So I think LeBron's fine on the third team. I think winning does matter on the NBA teams because that's why Tatum made it over KD. KD had probably a better season than Jason Tatum, but he just played less games. And the Nets were a 7th seed, just like a terrible chemistry-wise team. Unlike the Celtics, who turned it around and finished as the 2 seed. So I think winning matters. I mean, that's the only reason why Booker's on the first team. Like, Trae Young and LeBron had better seasons than him, if you want to say that. So would you put LeBron on your first team then if you're saying his stats are so good?
I mean, no, because I think Giannis should be first team, and Tatum, I don't think it's that terrible that he's on the first team. I would have had him over DeMar on the second team, though.
I wouldn't have. The Bulls made the playoffs, and DeMar had like an incredible season.
Yeah, but why should winning impact the All NBA teams? It just
if you're saying
really
that,
then
you're also saying then it has to go both ways. Like, you have to say winning shouldn't matter for the MVP then, because it's the same type of thing.
That's completely different.
No, not really, because the MVP is on the All NBA first team every time, and like all the best players in the league win.
But okay, for MVP, of course you're going to take winning into account because.
But why shouldn't you take
winning? It's most valuable. It's impacting winning and leading your team. Definitely to the postseason. Definitely,
that's
to
what
a
the All
top
NBA
seed.
teams are. It's the
All
best
NBA
players.
Teams is not like that. It's just All NBA, just the best players.
Yeah, well, they value winning a lot, and I think winning should matter. LeBron should be fine. He should stay on the third team. Trae Young had a better season than Devin Booker. You want me to read you Trae Young's stats right now?
Yeah,
this is better than whatever Devin Booker did. He averaged 28 points, 9.7 assists. So he averaged 28 and 10 basically. 46 from the field, 38 from 3, 10 win shares. Let's see what Devin Booker did. Devin Booker did not have a better season. I know this for a fact because I was looking at it the other day. Devin Booker, averaged 27, 5-5, and
Yeah, that's good
less
enough.
PR, win shares, less PR, worse from three, and .6 better from the field, and worse free throws, and worse efficient field goal. He was worse than Trae Young in every category, but Trae Young's was he on the third team? Yeah, he's on the third team, and Booker made the first team. So if you're saying winning doesn't matter, the Hawks obviously were not a top 3 seed like the Suns, and Trae Young but he had the best year statistically for any guard this year besides Luka.
Yeah, so okay, maybe he should be on the first over Booker then.
But I don't think he should because
I'm not
the
saying
Suns were a
I'm
64-win team.
I'm not saying they didn't consider winning. I'm just saying they
consider
shouldn't.
it. Well, I'm saying they should, and I think that what they do is fine.
It's definitely very different than the MVP though. That was a bad comparison.
Not really, because the MVP is like it's like the same kind of thing. It's a regular season award. Winning and stats matter to it, so it's like it's just only one person can win MVP, not 5 guys could be on the first team. Like the first team All NBA, that's the top 5 in MVP voting pretty much. So it is kind of comparable. Like Booker finished way ahead of Trae Young in MVP voting because his team won 64 games.
Right, but that makes sense. I'm just saying he shouldn't be on the All NBA first team if his stats are worse.
Well, his
and his
stats are
numbers
worse than a lot
worse.
of guys, Booker. He probably had worse stats than DeRozan this year. But he's on the first team because
Well,
obviously
that's a different position, so it
they're
doesn't
both
matter,
guards pretty much.
but- Well, DeRozan's in here as a forward. Anybody that was completely snubbed off the list that you think should have made it over like Siakam, who started the year injured, didn't.
No,
play
the
complete
Raptors made the
season.
playoffs. He had a good year. I think he's fine there. I think this is fine. I saw Donovan Mitchell didn't make it, but I don't even think Donovan Mitchell had that great of a season to be honest. So, and they also, they lost in the first round. Granted, that doesn't even matter because this is a regular season. But
What about no Jimmy Butler? You
I think
think
he was
winning
hurt for a
matters?
lot
They
of
were
the
the
year,
number one.
right?
They were the number 1 seed.
Well,
Well,
I
LeBron was
actually,
hurt. LeBron was hurt, and he made it, and his team didn't win. So if
Well-
you're gonna weigh winning,
Well, let's. Jimmy averaged 21 this year. I mean, that's pretty bad to be on any NBA team, in my opinion.
okay,
if
but he was the number 1 seed.
If he averaged a few more points, all right. Wait, he actually did average more win shares than LeBron, so that is impressive. Actually, worse PER. I don't know. I wouldn't hate actually if you put Jimmy on the third team over LeBron because his team got the first seed. And LeBron went to Cancun. I don't hate that actually, but I think the All NBA teams. I think it's right. The first team All NBA, they're all under 27. Which is like the first time in like since 1950 something or 60 something where all the players are like under age 27 or some shit, or 25. It was something like that. Crazy. So the league is it has a bright future. It's in the hands of great players. I mean, Luka, Tatum, Jokic, these guys are all great. Yeah.
Yeah, so clearly different philosophies there. I don't know. I think winning should matter for the MVP, not for the All NBA. I think there's just too many players, and it should be based on statistics because you could be on a really bad team and have an incredible year and deserve some recognition. I mean, there have been instances where players, I mean, LeBron is one of them not making the playoffs, but there are players like Trae Young and these people that have been on terrible teams and have been able to make All-NBA. I just don't think it should limit you based on that. The MVP is a different conversation because it's talking about value. What did you do for your team? Were you able to drag them to the postseason even if the roster around you is not necessarily that good? There's different ways to weight it. And I think All-NBA...
I guess so, but I think winning should matter a little bit when you're talking about players.
Okay.
Because I'd rather have a guy that averages 28 on a 50-win team than a guy that averages 28 on a 20-win team. You know, like obviously their teammates are big components of why their record's like that. But still, you should get you deserve more credit for winning 50 games than 20. Like, come on.
That's probably true.
Yeah, because we know there's a lot. I mean, think about it. I mean, that's why winning matters. I think that's why they care about winning so much, because honestly in today's game anyone could average like 28 points. Think about how many guys average 25 plus now. Like everyone could just score the hell out of the ball. Like, so I think there needs to be some kind of thing in the middle that weights it, and I think winning is that. Because like anyone could
Now
score a
these-
lot of points on a bad team, but can you actually lead them anywhere? Like we were thinking Trae Young couldn't do that, but then he led them to the playoffs these last 2 years, so he changed the narrative.
Yeah.
All right, so those were the All NBA teams, and we have some disagreements there. But so let's look at the All Rookie teams, Will, because I think they're pretty interesting. We had a really historic draft class. I think those were the expectations heading into it, and I feel like these players are even exceeding our expectations. So the All Rookie first team was Scotty Barnes, who won Rookie of the Year. I know me and you actually laughed at the Raptors for drafting that guy because we
Yeah,
didn't think
I
he'd be
did.
good. We're like, wow, the Magic just got Jalen Suggs. Whoa, the Magic might be back. They got him and Franz Wagner, but Jalen Suggs was absolutely atrocious this season, and Barnes was good. And then, okay, so he's the guard, or I don't even, there's no positions on all rookie teams. What am I even saying? But so they had Barnes, Cunningham, the first pick from the Pistons, Mobley. So the top 3 picks, Jalen Green made
Yeah,
it too.
Jalen Green made it too.
Yeah, so the top 3 picks, and then Franz and Scotty Barnes. So 4 out of the top 5 picks made it. I think 2018 was the last draft class to have like 3 or 4 out of the top 5 picks make the All-Rookie first team. Because I remember Bagley made it, Trey and Luka made it, and I think Ayton made it. I don't think Jaren Jackson made first team, but and then the All-Rookie second team this year was Herb Jones. He was a nice player from Alabama, good defensive player for the Pelicans. And Josh Giddey, with the long hair, the 6'8" point guard. He got a few nice triple-doubles during the year. He's a solid player from Australia. And then Bones Highland, the Nuggets, nice guard. He was like the 20-something pick, late first-round pick. He had a nice role in their playoff team. Ayo Dosunmu, Illinois, a really good player. And then he had filled in for Lonzo because your boy Lonzo got hurt, and Dosunmu was a pretty solid shooter for them. He was a
second-round pick, right?
Yeah. I think he's the only second-round pick to make it. Yeah, and Duarte, the last guy on the Pacers, I loved him coming into the draft. The Knicks,
Yeah, we wanted him.
The Knicks were interested in trading up for him, but Indiana snagged him at 13. So I'm going to pose a question to you, Will. Since we saw a lot of talented rookies on the rookie first team, and Scotty Barnes was even a surprise to us. So out of the top 3 guys, out of the top 4 guys, I guess, Cunningham, Mobley, Jalen Green, or Scotty Barnes, who do you think will end up having the best career out of those guys?
That's really tough. I would say probably. It's so hard because I want to think about the circumstances that they're in also. I
Yeah.
don't know if I can trust the Pistons to really put a team around Cade Cunningham unless he just becomes like a Luka level player and it could just be anyone. That's kind of what I'm thinking about there. So I don't know if I necessarily can pick him. Barnes is in a
Okay.
great situation. I mean, we know the Raptors. We know that their front office is always going to be smart. They have one of the best head coaches in the NBA with Nick Nurse, so I definitely trust him. So he's in a great situation. Jalen Green, it looks like his team is going to be good in the future. Right now, it's definitely the worst out of all these teams, but
Yeah.
it kind of depends on the direction they go. I mean, if they hit on a couple of draft picks, if they get maybe a better head coach, I don't know if I trust Silas to be their head coach for the next 5 years. So
yeah, I don't.
they're kind of a wild card to me. And then Mobley, he's definitely the surprise here, and the Cavs are the surprise as well. I mean, neither of us thought Cleveland was going to make the playoffs. Mobley is the center of the group, so definitely, as we know, has the highest bust potential. I don't think he's going to be a bust, but just in terms of can he have exponential growth in the next few years? Sometimes you can. Like Embiid definitely is one of those players that was, laid the foundation as a rookie, put on tons of weight, worked on his offensive game, developed an outside shot. And Mobley is already ahead of schedule compared to him, I think. I think he has
Embiid didn't
a
play
more
the first
developed
2 years.
offensive game. He's a comparable defender to what rookie Embiid was. So
Better
I
defender.
definitely think if you ask me the best player out of them now, I know Scotty Barnes won Rookie of the Year, but I think I would say Mobley is the best player out of all 4 of them.
Yeah,
In terms
right
of who's going
now.
to have the best future, I might go Scotty Barnes. I think the Raptors
Wow.
and their system and everything. Like, they were able to take a player like Siakam and turn him into an all-star and an all-NBA player. I just think they have a good track record of having forwards develop. OG Anunoby is another one, not as good, but definitely a player that was pretty much supposed to be a role player, and he's one of their best players now. So
Yeah,
I
that's
think
true.
together, that group for the future, with one of the best head coaches in the NBA, with a front office you can trust, I think I'm going to go Scotty Barnes, shockingly completely doing a flip-flop
Yeah,
from
wow.
the NBA draft, where we said that they were clowns for taking him. I think he's going to have the best career.
I can't believe it.
He might
Will
not
he ever be able
more
to shoot,
talented
though?
than Jalen Green or than Cade Cunningham, but we know that talent doesn't necessarily create the best career. Barnes they can be in the playoffs every year. He can appear in the finals. I think they obviously have the best chance to win a championship way before any of the other three. So to me, that's why I think he could have the best career of all of them.
But will he be able to shoot or add more to his offensive game? I mean, it's nice what he does now as a rookie, but do you think he'll actually, when the expectations are even higher for him to be a superstar, you think he'll actually be able to meet them and lead them to places?
Yeah, I mean,
His
he
offensive
averaged
game
what in
should get
college?
better.
10?
Probably,
He could average
yeah.
10, and then in the
12
NBA,
maybe?
just
I don't know.
completely was shocking.
That's true.
Completely turned
I
around
do
his
like him as a
offensive game.
player.
He was drafted to be a role player, a defensive player, like a
I mean,
Okoro or he was drafted to be the next Patrick Williams, really.
Yeah,
And he
but
just,
no, I mean,
he could play point guard for them. I mean, he is
he
way
could play
more
point guard.
dynamic
I guess
on
he
offense
could
than,
be. I guess he could be a better version of. I think he honestly could be what Ben Simmons was supposed to become. Honestly, so that'd be kind of cool.
with the
He could
jump
have-
shot.
And he's not even afraid to take threes, even though he's bad at them. So I like that of his game. I like he's aggressive, but compare him to Okoro and Williams, I don't know. I think Barnes
coming
was
out of
definitely-
college, that's what we thought.
we thought, but Barnes was way more talented if you watch him. Patrick Williams wasn't handling the ball full court. He wasn't, and his defense wasn't as good as Scotty Barnes. I don't know. Scotty Barnes kind of got hit on that team, but I like him as a player. But I'd say Mobley's the best player right now. I agree with you. I mean, his team, him and Jared Allen, the Twin Towers, that was a fantastic duo, along with Garland in the backcourt to lead them to the postseason. But I'm going to go with Cade. I think he's going to have a Luka-type impact for this Pistons franchise. I don't think it's going to be Scotty Barnes. Cade played really well the last 2 months of the season. He could pass. He could score. He's a tall guard. He could rebound. His defense obviously needs to get better, but I don't expect him to be an All-NBA defender as a 19-year-old on a crappy team. But I think he has the foundation to have like a Luka-like impact. I could definitely see him averaging like 28 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds one season. I think he's going to be an All-NBA guy for years to come. I like his IQ. I like everything about him. It's just if the Pistons, they got to put some good players around him. They got kind of hosed this year in the lottery. They got the 5th pick. So we'll see. Maybe Jay and Ivy will be there. Maybe Shaedon Sharp or whatever his name is from Kentucky will be there to pair Cade in the backcourt with them. But I think Cade's going to change this franchise around 3 years. I think I don't like the Mavs roster. He's not going to be leading them to the East Finals like Luka did because the Mavs already had a foundation. The Pistons don't have anything, and the East is now tougher than the West. But I think Cade's going to be a future Hall of Famer and top 50 player if I had to pick one of these guys to have the best career.
Wow. So, okay, yeah, the Pistons, I mean, they've been bad since they won the championship in 2004. They haven't been able to do anything.
I think Cade's,
So
they lucked into the first pick. I think Cade's going to be the one to change that.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly has the potential. What was Luka's impact in his rookie year? They did not make the playoffs, I know. But it seemed like they went from being at being at the top of the lottery to being a much more competitive team. The Pistons, in their second year, right back in the top of the lottery. So he hasn't had the winning impact.
Well, no,
that
this is
Luka
his
did
first year. What do you mean?
immediately.
Well, what were the Mavs' record? What was their record the first year Luka was a rookie? How was it?
Yeah, I'm gonna find it.
Because this is year 1 of Cade, and he's obviously going to get better next year. He's going to average over 20, I think. He realistically could become an all-star in year 2. I don't want to... maybe my expectations are really high for him, but I think he's going to meet them, so...
The Mavs, okay, I mean, they
After
won
you-
33 games.
Okay, the Pistons won what 20 something this year, like 22. They were garbage.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a little bit better, not by much.
No, that's true. But I don't even think Scotty Barnes is in the top 2 for this class for career. I think I'd rather have Jalen Green than him moving forward too. I don't know if that's crazy to say, but and Mobley, I think Scotty Barnes is going to be the fourth horse in this race when all their careers are said and done. I just can't see him being an offensive specimen in big playoff games. I could see Cade doing it. I think Jalen Green's athleticism and his shooting ability, I think they'll be able to both answer the call. Mobley, he obviously has an offensive arsenal that's better than Scotty Barnes's, and he's a defensive monster just like Barnes. I could see Mobley becoming maybe like an Anthony Davis type player, so I think Scotty Barnes is going to have the worst career out of these guys. I mean, I could be completely wrong. I mean, I'm wrong all the time, and so are you, but I'm definitely going with Cade. I think he's going to be a top 50 player.
The Mavs, the next year, Luka's second year, they won 10 more games, 43 wins, and they were the 7th seed. So that's what the Pistons, if you want it to be on a Luka trajectory, that's what Cade has to do. He has to win 20 more games than his team did this year.
In year
and
2,
make
he's
the
doing
playoffs.
20 more.
Yeah.
Anything's possible. If he averages 25, maybe it's possible. I don't know. I mean, they have the 5th pick. What if
Also,
they're
okay, I mean,
they got to
you
hit
get
on
to-
the draft
the
pick.
Mavs roster was much better than they had. I mean, these players weren't as good as they are now, but they had Seth Curry, they had Brunson still, they had Kristaps.
Yeah, come on. Those guys are better than Killian Hayes. Cut Kid some slack. He's not playing with all NBA player. Not all NBA players. He's not playing with a better than average role players. I mean, Porzingis was a former All-Star.
Brunson that year averaged 8.
Okay, that's true.
So it's
but
not like he
Porzingis
was really that good.
Come on, Porzingis. Cade doesn't have a. I mean, you compare Jeremy Grant to Porzingis. I guess that's comparable in a way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Porzingis that year
Oh.
only played 57 games though.
Well, I didn't say Cade was gonna be better than Luka right away. I said he's gonna have a Luka type impact for their franchise.
Then it's the same thing.
Well, he's got to average. I don't know. I mean, I could definitely see them winning more than like 25 games, whatever they did this year, though. So I don't know if they hit on their 5th pick. Something could be brewing in Detroit, I think, for the Pistons.
All right, let's get to the playoffs now. The Warriors, they close out the Mavs we're talking about in 5 games. So Luka does get his 1 game. We didn't think he could, but he does. But in the final, in Game 5, Golden State ends up winning. And I mean, if you look at their lineup, Noah, they really shut me up in terms of saying that their roster was bad. Draymond had like 17.
Yeah,
Clay
I don't know
had 32.
why did you ever say that?
They had dominant performances in the closeout game, but they reached the finals for the 6th time in the Steph Curry era.
Crazy.
And these conference finals, in my opinion, have been insanely boring.
Yeah, it's been the
I
worst
guess it's just
ever.
because
I think.
there's been constant blowouts, but there's just been really no interest, in my opinion, to watching these games. The Celtics Heat is a good series on paper, but every single game has been a blowout. It has not been competitive whatsoever. So it's just been awful, really, in this 3rd round, which is interesting because the first 2 rounds, I think, were really engaging. I mean, the Bucks Celtics was a really fun series. Watching the Nets get swept was really fun. In the West, you had all the drama with Luka and the Suns and that whole Game 7 series. It was really engaging for the first 2 rounds. And then you get to the conference finals, and it just completely fell apart. So hopefully we get to the NBA finals, and it becomes much better. But right now it's not looking too good in terms of the product for the NBA.
No, and also the West Finals was a complete mismatch. I mean, the Mavs really shouldn't have been there. I know, yes, they earned their right. They beat the Suns. But I think we were all robbed of a Suns-Warriors. I think that would have won 7 games, 6 or 7 games. I think that would have been the series of the whole postseason, the best series. But we didn't get that because CP0 had other plans. And the Heat Bucks, or not the Heat Bucks, the Heat Celtics, both those teams are pretty evenly matched, but I don't know, just weird styles of play and just a bunch of blowouts made this postseason kind of depressing. But It's funny. We've had 22 games in the playoffs where a team has won by 20 plus points. Well, that's like the most since 2016. But 2016 was one of the more memorable postseasons ever because of the finals, 2-3-1 leads. So we're not going to count that really. 2016. It's kind of funny looking at these numbers. 2011 had only seven 20-point blowouts. So those were the good old days of the postseason. You know, Heat, LeBron, every Heat and Mavs game.
Yeah, I miss that era.
I feel like every Heat and Mavs game went down to the wire. I feel like every team is evenly matched in those playoffs. Same thing in 2012. They had 7. Last year there was 15. I feel like last year had better playoff series. I'm trying to think. The Hawks and Philly went 7 games. And who the Bucks and Nets won 7 games. You're like, yeah, those were really good, like evenly matched close games. Even the Suns Clippers, even without Kawhi Leonard, the Clippers put up a big fight, and the Suns really never blew them out, if you remember. So I don't know, but I feel like we could point to this is the first full NBA season in like 2 years, and I think everyone's just really tired at this point because the bubble was a lot of fatigue. And then when they started like a month later, a 72-game season with not that much rest. I mean, this is the first full 82-game season since 2019. Well, I feel like that could point to a lot of injuries and just blowouts and tired legs in the playoffs. And also, the Olympics happened last year. There's going to be no Olympics this year, so not even less games for the star players. So I feel like next year will be one of the best NBA products we've had in a while, honestly, for the postseason and just the season in general, I think.
It's kind of disappointing because it's been exciting because I don't think anybody knew who was going to win the championship this year. It was very interesting coming into the season.
The Warriors.
Okay.
I picked the Warriors.
But you didn't really know. Like, Clay was
I know. I didn't
out.
really know. There was no
Nobody knew
guaranteed
Jordan
team.
Poole was going to be this good. You definitely didn't consider him to be leading part of this team.
I did not, and I didn't consider. I thought the Nets would be better. I think we all thought that. We also thought the Celtics would not make the playoffs. Yeah, a lot of stuff happened, and Ben Simmons, best actor on the Nets. Nobody really saw Harden going to Philly. It was an interesting season, but definitely a disappointing West and East Finals.
So in the East Finals, the Celtics, they're up 3-2. I picked Miami to win in 7. We'll see if they can tie the series.
I don't know why I listened to you. I knew the Celtics were going to win this series all along. I don't know why I went on. I should have said Celtics in 6. I don't know why I don't even know why I ever picked the Heat. I just copied you for some reason.
Honestly, I'm not mad at it because I want the Knicks NBA Finals streak to live on.
Yeah.
And the only hope at this point is for Luke Cornett on the Celtics to make the
Let's
finals.
go, Luke.
So if that happens, then every NBA Finals still will have at least a former Knick in it. Which needs to happen.
Incredible. That is incredible.
Although maybe that's the reason why the Knicks can't make the finals. Is this?
We need to break the curse.
This idea? Yeah, we need the curse. Maybe the curse should be broken.
But we won 2 championships during it and made a bunch of other finals.
Yeah,
with our actual Knick teams, we made it.
Yeah, so I guess maybe it's not. So maybe having the streak live on is worth it.
Yeah.
So Boston, they're 1 game away from having that happen. So we will see if they can close it out, or it will be in Miami for Game 7.
If they don't have Hero, just throw it out the window. There's no way the Heat are winning Game 6. They don't have enough offense, just like I said.
Unless Tatum has a terrible game. We knew that Tatum was going to have a great game.
He's at home now. I feel like he doesn't have that many bad games at home. I mean, I could be wrong, but
he has a bad game every other game, we know.
Well, he did have 30 last game, so that means he's going to score 10 now.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, I mean, these teams are evenly matched, but they're honestly boring-ass teams to watch. Jason Tatum is not LeBron or KD. He scores 10 every other game. Like, come on. Like, this guy's not a top 5 player like some people claim. He's not that exciting. He's a good player,
in my opinion,
but he's not a great player.
I think Celtics-Warriors is the more exciting finals, though, over the Heat. I think the Heat are the most boring team left.
Oh, easily. Yeah. Even the Mavs are more interesting than the Heat, I think.
Yeah.
And Will, did you realize that there's now an award for the West Finals MVP and East Finals MVP? Like, that just became a thing this year. I found that out yesterday.
I knew that.
I personally think that's a really dumb award. No offense. Sorry, NBA.
I mean, it's like
Curry won the Magic Johnson Award.
What other sports name conference finals MVPs?
There is none.
There's none?
None. In hockey, the Conn Smythe Trophy is just the best player in the whole playoffs, and obviously they win a cup. Like, it's gonna be a cup winner, so they just pick one of those. It's basically the Finals MVP for hockey, but there's no conference finals. They're just giving out awards at this point for no reason. The East one is the Larry Bird one. I guess Jason Tatum will win the first ever Larry Bird award. Curry won the Magic award. I don't know. I think it's pointless to put these awards in.
Yeah, it probably is, honestly.
And it doesn't make them look better that they're handing them out in the year both conference finals were garbage, so it's not even that exciting. Like, the Warriors won in 5 games. I mean, it's not their fault, but I just think it's a pointless award for people's resumes. I mean, in 20 years, are people going to argue, like, oh, this player has more conference finals MVPs than this one, so he's going to be better? Like, is that really going to... Like, that's not how we should measure players, in my opinion.
All right, tacking it on here at the end of the show, some NFL news. The Raiders are hosting Colin Kaepernick for a workout for next season. And honestly, no, I'm just tired of the Kaepernick story. I feel like it's the new Tim Tebow of the NFL.
He is the new Tim Tebow. And Tim Tebow was more exciting in a way.
Kaepernick, I can at least see, I know why Kaepernick gets the notoriety that he does. Tebow made no sense. It was just for no reason. So I guess there's that whole point to it. But it's just... it's played out at this point. I mean, I feel like Kaepernick, you could have made the case for him like 3 years ago.
Even
that he
5 or 6
definitely
years
deserved
ago.
to be in the NFL.
Probably 6 years ago.
Well, okay, that was the last time
he started
played,
kneeling,
but
though, yeah.
I feel like at least 3 years ago was sort of the end of he definitely deserves to be in the NFL and is not. At this point, at 36 years old, having not played for 6 years, you could easily make the case that he definitely is not the player that he was, and may not even be a starter caliber player anymore. I know there are teams.
Is he even a backup
caliber?
caliber?
Okay, what about your Seahawks? Your team has very bad quarterback rotation. Would you want Kaepernick? Do you think he could be better than the players that you have right now?
No, because Geno Smith was he was a little bit serviceable last year when he had to play. And Drew Lock's probably a better quarterback than Kaepernick. At least Drew Lock played last season. Kaepernick hasn't played in, 5 years? 6 years? I don't know. I mean, actually, maybe we should just get him because I want to tank this year. So maybe we should just start him and win 2 games and just let him throw a bunch of picks. But they're just going to let Drew Lock do that anyways. So there's really no point in any team having Kaepernick, in my opinion. He worked out for the Raiders. They said it was positive, but no deal. Immediate, intimate. I can't even read this word for some reason. I'm stupid, but so Kaepernick, I don't know. I just think it's just a publicity stunt, whichever team gets him. We saw the kneeling, whatever you want to say about that, but he's just not the player he is. I think people need to realize that, just like Tim Tebow eventually had to become a tight end or just switch positions or go play baseball for the Mets or try to play baseball for the Mets. I think Kaepernick needs to give up on his football career and continue collecting those Nike commercial checks because he's getting millions from those. I think he's living a good life otherwise.
I think he should go play in a different league.
He should play in the XFL or
he's
something.
Dominant.
Yeah, why can't he play in the USFL? For that, yeah.
He should definitely play in the USFL. And if he does well, if he dominates that, if he throws for 500 yards every game and
that'd be
is
kind of
clearly the best player
yards.
in it, then it will be proof that he deserves to be in the NFL. But I think until then, I think that was just a mistake by him, not utilizing these other outlets to prove that he's a great player.
Because working out for a team isn't the same as playing in a game or a preseason game. Nobody can really gauge on how good you are on a workout. I mean, people draft quarterbacks based off of workouts and stuff, but that's different. It's not like he's knowing the team's playbook and playing in a live game where he could get picked off and stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah, and he's going to a team. If he goes to the Raiders, he's not going to play.
No, because they've Derek Carr and they just signed. They have playoff aspirations. They just signed Carr to a big extension. I don't know what team would even need a quarterback. I don't know.
The Seahawks.
Yeah, but we could use him, I guess. But I just maybe we'll see what Drew Lock does.
Yeah, this
The Giants do need a
Kaepernick, I think the
quarterback.
USFL is the way to go.
The Giants should sign Kaepernick.
If he can get in with the Seahawks or a team that needs a QB really
he
bad,
worked out
then-
for the Seahawks 4 years ago, and they said no, we're not bringing you in as a
well,
backup.
they had
But-
Wilson 4 years
Yeah,
ago.
but-
That's why.
Yeah, but they said they're not even bringing him in as a backup. They had some other guys to back up. They had Geno still probably.
At this point, I just don't think you can make the case that he absolutely deserves to be on a team. I think
No.
before, definitely you could have, and he definitely was mistreated in that way. But
Yeah,
at this point, at
bad.
36,
he's
with
36.
all these years off,
I didn't even know he was
Yeah.
36. I thought he was like 30 for some reason. Damn. So what was
No,
he like?
I mean,
27 when he's making
then
the
he'd
Super
be like
Bowl?
22 if you're on that timeline.
Oh no, he's
he would've been
he's not
22 in
36.
like 2013.
You're wrong. He's 34. I just looked it up. He's turning 35 in November.
Okay.
But he has good career stats. I mean, I'm looking at his stats.
No, he
well,
has great career stats.
72 TDs to 30 picks. I mean, that's better than Sam Darnold and some of these guys that came out recently. 12K yards, 13 rushing TDs, 2,000 rush yards, pretty much. And he had he still holds the NFL record for 181 rush yards in a game as a QB. And Lamar hasn't even broken that. Michael Vick never did that. So like he obviously was a talented player back in the day, but he's just way too past his prime and just hasn't played in like 6 years.
Yeah,
Especially
so at this
quarterback
point-
position. That's not the position you could take like 4 years off and then be really good again. I feel like it's not like basketball.
Yeah, it's definitely the toughest probably to come back into, and
Especially
the NFL's changed a
quarterback.
lot in that time too. You got to learn
Yeah.
all kinds of new schemes, and
Yeah, they probably stop him
things.
better. And he also holds the record for most rush yards in a single postseason by a quarterback. 264. Obviously, we've never seen Lamar make it past round 1. I would assume he could potentially break that one day if he makes a Super Bowl, but for now it's held by Kaepernick, so it's a little interesting.
that'll do it for this episode of the Bona Fide Scrubs, episode 2. Thank you for listening and watching here on YouTube. You can subscribe to the channel for 2 new episodes every week. Give us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps us out. We have over 130 there, so try and keep that number going up.
134.
And we'll see you at this time on Tuesday.
Yeah, cycle starting. Thank you guys. Peace.
Peace.